Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and this is our winner and losers series of version 2.2. Now, what a great patch to start this format on. Why do I say that is, if you are just sitting on the sideline, maybe you're skipping all the limited characters, this is an extremely meta-changing patch for any of you who are just like chilling, you're skipping everything, saving. Why is that the case? You have a very huge game changer in Harmony Trailblazer, and also a lot of you kind of already know like Robin was really good for follow-up effects and stuff like that, but if you don't really care too much about follow-up effects, you probably won't be super engrossed in 2.2. But I want to take some time in this video to actually talk about the changes in certain characters that got a lot stronger or maybe got a lot worse with comparison. And if you guys like this format, do leave me a comment below as well. So this is basically how do you read this graph. If you are in the stonks tier, you're basically very good. Your character got better both either in follow-up and break, benefiting from both of the major changes. And likewise, if you are in Fua, you are just benefiting from follow-up attack. You don't care too much about break. Like the opposite, mirror opposite here, break is exactly the same thing. And if you're kick, you're basically, what a sad patch to be this particular character. So we won't talk about every single one. I just want to focus on characters that have significant changes. Anything else that is like pretty much in the center, I'll just like exclude them. If not, this is going to take like hours and hours long. So the first question that a lot of people might ask is, why am I not putting Boot Heal here instead of Trailblazer? I thought about it quite a while, and I think the supports are much easier to swing because they fit into more comps, swing the meta. Whereas a character like Boot Heal is definitely a lot more niche, who creates niche teams rather than changing up the other characters in the game where they stand. So that's why I chose Harmony Trailblazer here. But moving forward in the future patches, we will always select the one that is more likely to shift the meta. It could be an enemy boss even that changes what this is, but we're just trying to use two different dimensions to talk about it. So enough like chit chatter, enough diddy daddy, because it's a new format. I wanted to do a bit of explaining. Let's first talk about the first character. You guys already know. This is already over talked about at this point. I think Runmei here is very clear. She is very, very beneficial, or she benefited a lot from Trailblazer. You see videos everywhere, and I get it in my comments. It's like Trailblazer and Runmei is basically, now at this point, people think that they are like bread and butter already. She definitely benefited a lot from break because she specializes together with Harmony. So I'm going to put her Harmony Trailblazer. So I'm going to put her all the way to the right. The question is, did she really benefit from Robin's entrance? I would actually say she didn't really benefit too much from the entrance of Robin. I would want to put her somewhere in the slightly bottom tier where you niche down a little bit into the break category, because Robin gave more options for players who didn't care too much about break teams. If you don't want to play break at all, you probably feel that now you need Runmei a bit less. Doesn't take away how good a character she is. I think that she definitely got better in version 2.2, but niched a little bit more, or is a little bit more reflective for Harmony Trailblazer. Robin's presence definitely did bring down the value of Runmei a little bit, because now there's more competition, and this is where I'll put Runmei, just maybe slightly below the equilibrium mark for follow-up attacks on the y-axis here that you see for Robin. So purple, any of you colorblind that can't really see, not to worry. This vertical axis, the one with Robin's face here, this is not their ranks. This is just basically the axis to say that how high or low they are is basically how much they benefited from Robin. Whereas this like horizontal line is the equilibrium mark where you didn't really change too much. Likewise for Harmony Trailblazer as well as the other way too. So maybe we should go clockwise. So let's talk about some other characters, Harmony characters in the game. I think the other few characters that maybe didn't really benefit so much from either of them would be a character like Sparkle. With Robin's entrance, more competition for Sparkle because you can ultimately only fit a few Harmony characters unless you play all of them in the same team. But for now, I see much fewer Sparkle in Harmony Trailblazer teams. I see a lot less Sparkle requirements, especially since the meta is shifting towards break effect, follow-up attacking kind of thing. So I will actually put Sparkle maybe not too far down the cake tier. I'll probably put her somewhere maybe around here. With the presence of Harmony Trailblazer, doesn't really change too much, so I want to put her somewhere closer to the equilibrium for the Harmony Trailblazer. But definitely with Robin, Sparkle definitely receive a bit more competition, which is in line with Runmei really. So both of them are about the same. I'm just not putting her here because it's going to like block all the words and stuff, so that's why I'm just going to put her maybe slightly here. Maybe I'll just shrink it also so it doesn't seem too unfair. They're supposed to be like kind of balanced out, so I'm still getting used to this format. Other than that, I don't think there's anything significantly changes. Asta, I guess the other harmonies are not really required for me to talk about. More competition applies to all of them. I'm going to just mainly speak about the limited 5 stars here as well. You could say really the same thing for a lot of harmony characters. And none of them really like super significant changes in my opinion, at least if you're playing follow-up team compositions. So next up, Fire MC. I think Fire MC definitely got quite bad. Fire MC is probably the biggest loser out of all of them. Not because this character is shitty, but it's because now the opportunity cost is crazy. Why would you not want to run Harmony Trailblazer instead of Trailblazer, Fire Trailblazer here? So I think Harmony Trailblazer belongs in the absolute bottom of the cake tier just because, or at least here. So I think this is where she belongs. It's just the opportunity cost. There's no real requirement for you to use a character like Fire Trailblazer now, especially with how good Harmony Trailblazer is. Next up, we have Aventurine, which I think is one of the biggest gainers in this patch. I will actually put him at probably somewhere around here. Benefited a lot from follow-up attacking from Robin, so he saw like huge stonks, as well as Harmony Trailblazer is of the Harmony element, so a lot of team composition you will realize that actually benefits Aventurine quite a lot. He deals a lot of damage, which means that he also offers good amounts of super break. He doesn't benefit as much as Runway, so I'll put him slightly maybe over here, definitely in the stonks category, benefiting from both of them. If you're Aventurine haver, you'll be super happy. I think he's one of the characters that really gained a lot. Another character that I think changed position at least kind of significantly would probably be a character like Mark 7. Although not that much from the breaking point of view, but from the follow-up point of view, I think definitely she saw a bit more gains together with Robin. So I'll put her somewhere around here, just under Robin. Maybe I'll just make it smaller since she's a 4-star. Not the size doesn't matter here, that's what she said. But yeah, it's just to represent where they are in the position. Fucc as well as Japat, don't think they really changed too much in this patch. None of them really are significantly affected by other of them, much more significantly than other characters at least, so I don't really want to put them. Gallagher, I think Gallagher is an interesting one. He definitely benefited a lot from break. Harmony Trailblazer particularly, probably one of the biggest gainers since he scales off with break effect. I'll put him along the same axis as Runway. I think Runway like belongs here, right? Let me just move Trailblazer a bit tinier. Runway definitely belongs like all the way at the extreme end for the Trailblazer, like slightly here. Yeah, so Gallagher probably about like roughly around here in terms of the benefit. Still gain a lot, one of the most. He also gained a little bit from I think follow-up maybe not so much, so I'll put him like more or less along the 0 axis, the x-axis for follow-up attacks, but definitely benefited quite a lot from break effect, since he scales very nicely with break effect as well. DOT, not so much, but this is not a patch that's I moved about DOT. We can talk about it more when the axis change. Luota, not too much. I don't think he really changed too much. You could say like because Aventurine benefited, but Aventurine does a lot more attacks than a character like Luota. And eventually follow up, so that's where he benefited a lot. But Luota is more of like only his outdoes a lot of imaginary damage. Other than that, he's quite slow and he's more of like a skill point efficient character than Aventurine, who's like more offensive. So I'm not going to talk about the other healers in the game. I think they are more or less right where they are supposed to be. Huo, I think is also quite similar. She did benefit a little bit from, I think, Robin comms if you do not have Aventurine, same as Fucc, but they are very similar, and I don't want to like put all the characters who like just benefited marginally if you do not have another character. I want to make this as good as I can, more quick straight to the point as well. Let's go on to the nihility ones. Break effect, any character that can break enemies quicker, I think saw a gain, especially I wouldn't say like super high. Colorless breakers, for example, like Akirion, definitely saw a little bit of gain. Follow-up attacking is another style, so I would say it's a bit more competition, but more or less in the horizontal axis. So I think characters like Akirion definitely benefited from Trailblazer's presence. Not as much as other units like Gallagher and stuff. Silverwolf is another character that benefited, I think, equally as much. You drop in weaknesses on the enemy. I'll probably put her like somewhere around here. Maybe it's time that I just like cover this, so I'll just put it here if it's on the horizontal axis. I gotta like think how to do this chart better. Since everyone is like more or less in the equilibrium, maybe I'll just move this out as we go. So I think these two are probably here. Akirion, Silverwolf, more or less on the gold axis here, on the horizontal axis. That benefited a little bit from break, since when you break enemies a bit more, you are able to proc the super dancing effect. Break effect becomes much more relevant when they are broken, so they gained significantly as well. Other characters, I think Welt is another character that gained quite a bit with the arrival of Trailblazer. If you haven't watched the video, I actually think that Welt is a pretty good alternative to a character like Runmei. Go and check it out if you are interested. It's the no Runmei, no problem kind of video. You'll see it on the channel, just check it out. Welt is a very, very good alternative. I already explained more there, but in a nutshell, his slow really helps delay the enemies from recovering from their weakness break, which is really beneficial, especially when comboing with MC. Unfortunately, Runmei is taking the limelight very, very significantly, but teams with Akirion could see more play, especially if you're running with a break kind of team, super break kind of team, together with Welt, for example. Other characters that did well, I actually don't really think that Luca did tremendously well with Trailblazer. Luca does want some break, yes he does, but largely single target in nature, and for now, the monsters that really do a lot, or the characters that do a lot or benefit a lot right now in version 2.2 probably are more AoE characters, which is why I'm actually going to leave Luca out of it. Unless, of course, you're talking about a character like Susang, who is a bit more different, who has self-action, advanced self-push. That's a whole different thing as well. The other characters here, I don't think they change very significantly. A character that you could argue benefited slightly would be Quispe, who offers a lot of AoE, fire damage. Fire benefits a lot from break, because fire and physical are one of the most heavy damaging classes when you scale them up with break effect. So Quispe definitely is one of them. If you don't have Himiko, she's probably a good proxy. I'll put her somewhere around here as well, just in the line that is just benefiting from Trailblazer, nothing too much else. So Runmei should be somewhere slightly lower, maybe a bit negative. So none for the others. I think the others is like more or less good where they are. Not really too much changes here. Misha I think definitely gained a little bit from the Trailblazer's presence in the game. A lot of break that Misha does, probably maybe somewhere in line with, maybe I'll put it together with Quispe. Wherever Quispe is, I think Misha is somewhere there too. Benefited more from Trailblazer's presence in the game, because Misha does a lot of break. If you guys haven't seen, the ice breaking that Misha does just makes the Aventurine enemy boss really just cry, because it's so weak to ice, and Misha is very, very strong against that. So you should consider building Misha if you haven't, and you maybe don't have like a Jingliu DPS to take down Aventurine, you're struggling with Aventurine boss. Misha is a good way to address it. This is another character that I think is super strong, Xue. In my opinion, she's the biggest gainer, or one of the biggest gainers in version 2.2. She benefits almost as much, I would say, as Runmei did in version 2.2. She skills off with break effect so well, 1:1 ratio, 1 break effect equals to what, 1 damage percent increase. Trailblazer gives 100 and even more if you have very, very good stats on your Trailblazer. So 100% damage increase from Trailblazer for Xue. Very, very ridiculous. She also has follow-up in her kits, which means that you can play into Robin follow-up teams very well as well. She follow-ups a lot, so I would say she is the biggest gainer in version 2.2. One of the strongest, one of the characters that got the most strong. You can check out the video that we put out on the channel as well. I talked why she's like becoming a 5-star character. Very, very strong. I even managed to clear Memory of Chaos with a 4-star in this rotation as well. You can just check out the video on the channel too. We talk more about Xue. Really love this character. Physical Trailblazer, do any people even still use this? I don't even think it's like worth like putting beside Fire MC, so I won't really talk about it. Other than that, I don't think these characters really change too much. Imbibitor Lune probably isn't affected by either of these break or follow-up. Blade, you could argue that he slightly has some sort of follow-up here and there, but not enough to actually worth putting it and mentioning it in. Jingliu also not doesn't play into either of them significantly to mention. But the one that I want to talk about probably is a character like Clara. I think Clara is worthwhile to talk about as well. I would actually put Clara somewhere around here, probably in this quadrant. Why is that? Her whole kit, if you think about it, is follow-up attacks. Her counters are all follow-up attacking, and she also is a good physical damage dealer. Plays very nicely in the break. If you counter the enemy, you break them, you deal damage on them. The only thing about her that makes me want to like bring her down a little bit here to place her eventually in this quadrant is because the irony or the maybe the word is paradox. The paradox about Clara benefiting from Trailblazer is she benefits from the break effect. She breaks enemies very fast, but ultimately the backup dancer wants you to attack the enemies more often, and if the enemies are broken, Clara can't counter them, which means she doesn't get to even super break unless you basic attack or you like and stuff like that, which is kind of paradoxical. So I think that she is not the 100% benefiting kind. If she could like deal tons of damage and follow ups similar to how Sherry is, she's going to gain a lot more. But because for the fact if the enemies are weakness broken, your DPS basically drops because they're not doing anything. And that's why I think like Clara is only a slight gain, mainly from the break effect giving to Clara so that you have that massive AoE physical break damage as well. You could argue that Trailblazer is also like physical break damage, but the same thoughts are that you're competing against like Harmony MC. It's like such a difficult competition. Other character that I wanted to actually talk about was Huynh, but I think that Huynh falls in a similar line to Luca. Very single target in nature, but very strong. Good amounts of fire damage. Doesn't mind having massive amounts of fire break damage. But for the reasons we talked about, Luca, very single target. Right now the meta is the more you can hit, the better, because the more super break you damage you can do in an AoE. For that reason, I'm going to abstain from talking about Huynh in this current patch as well. Which is why characters like Saber definitely did see a little bit more benefit, definitely grew a lot more with this patch, especially because she does a lot of breaking. So probably doesn't gain as much as well, but she offers very cheap, efficient way of putting tons of lightning break damage on the enemy, very low cost, just keeps spamming her burst, giving you very quick access to Harmony Trailblazer super break effect. So maybe I'll put her like, let me just bring this to the front, put it on par together with Kuei Naifen as well as Misha, so the three of them like sharing the same. I really gotta like make the things smaller and stuff, but you guys, if you are following the video, it shouldn't be a problem. So let me just like, let's hide it here. So now we're on Erudition, of course. Next character that I think got a lot better will be Argenti. Anyone basically with AoE got a lot better. So Argenti, I'm just gonna like bring it to the front again. I can put him here. These are characters that benefited a lot from the arrival of Trailblazer because you get that stat, that break effect stat that otherwise your crit DPS won't really want to build, and you get massive amounts of break. You offer a lot of action. Argenti has like a 90 burst cost, which is very low to keep spamming and then able for you to like prop that super break effect on top of getting a lot of break as well. So definitely some characters that benefited a little bit from Trailblazer. Maybe I'll shift like Silverwolf towards the right a bit. But yeah, those are some thoughts. Jingyuan is a tricky one. Technically, he benefits from everything over here as well, so I do want to put him there, but he's also having a little bit of follow-up attacks, which means that he does benefit somewhat into Robin's team compositions, but his attacks, his lightning lord is quite slow and not really like as frequent as other follow-up characters like maybe Aventurine, Dr. Ratio, Topaz and Nambi and etc. But still, his overall crit still does benefit, and every patch he somehow seems to benefit one way or another, right? That's the joke that we are having right now. I think I'll put him somewhere similar to Clara, maybe somewhere around here. So him and Clara probably similar. He doesn't suffer from the downsides of Clara, so maybe I'll put him slightly to the right of Clara, somewhere around here. That is where probably I'll rank. Does benefit from both of them, just not in very significant amounts. I'm not just putting them higher because not putting him higher because I don't want him to cover these words, or rather I'm like bringing him up a little bit, not to cover the words. Himiko is I think another character that gained quite a lot this patch. She plays both into the follow-up thematic and the break effect because of her multiple attacks. She's a fire element, does a lot of AoE as well, hits quite frequently. So I think that she probably gained quite a bit. Would I put her higher than Gallagher? Probably less than Gallagher, somewhere around here in terms of the Trailblazer effect. Maybe slightly less than Weld. So I think around here, but definitely along the lines of this category. So let me just bring Aventurine slightly smaller. That's great. Next up we have Hertha. Hertha unfortunately doesn't have too much break in ice. She does a lot of attacks, that's for sure, but I think it's like slightly less than Himiko overall. I feel because break effect doesn't really benefit ice too much. It doesn't scale as nicely as physical and ice, but she has a lot of follow-up attacks, so definitely maybe I'll put her like somewhere around here, especially cost effective. Together the three of them, I'll put them somewhere in like the Stonks category. So definitely characters who have gained quite a bit. So next, so I think not too much changes. We didn't have any significant change for Qingque in my opinion. We have Win Danheng, not too much changes. Yanqing, I'm going to abstain talking about that. Next up we have Su Sang, of course. She is a good follow-up breaker, single target in nature, but I think she will fall somewhere in line of the three of them here. Silverwolf, Akirion and Susang are more or less a similar situation. She likes to break a lot, Susang. She gets benefits, she gets skill points back, a little bit more damage increase, and she acts very often because her out lets her go again. So many combo hits very often, playing very nicely into Harmony Trailblazer effect. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the direct scaling of Xue Yi to justify a higher rating, or Gallagher for a higher rating. So that's why she is there. Runmei, of course, directly benefits from break effect too. So the other characters we are left with is a couple, which is the more obvious ones, I think, is Topaz and Nambi, Dr. Ratio. These are your follow-up gainers. They gained a lot from your follow-up team compositions. So I will put them on par with Aventurine in the tier, but I would say that both of them didn't probably gain too much with the break effect. It matter, not too much. Probably Dr. Ratio a bit more because he's Harmony, so you could maybe talk about more Harmony synergies, imaginary synergies, but Topaz and Nambi, largely single target. You give the break effect to her, she can't really take much away from that, and she doesn't really proc as much in an AoE fashion, unlike the other characters on this list who you will realize mostly are AoE in this current meta, where we are still caring a lot about Pure Fiction, Memory of Chaos, who is still a lot AoE. Once we go into 2.3, we might have Apocalyptic Shadow, who becomes a lot more narrowed down, and this probably will be my final categorizing for version 2.2, the biggest changes, winners and losers as well. The next up, of course, we're going to have Boot Hill, but I don't think he will shift the meta too significantly. We'll likely see more teams paired together with the Harmony Trailblazer, and I think he would fall somewhere in this category over here as well. Doesn't, as you can see, like here, Robin doesn't make anyone a lot worse. Her coming into the game just boosts everyone up. She's very versatile like Runmei. Similarly for Harmony Trailblazer, you can see the only people that actually lost out in this patch, and just a quick summary, is competition, like other forms of Trailblazer, or anything that competes against a Harmony limited character, for example, maybe the likes of Sparkle, maybe the likes of Runmei, just slightly based on versusing them. But this is a very lifting patch, very welcoming, because a lot of the characters maybe are less meta or out of meta actually got shifted a lot into the meta, and we will see a lot of DPSs in the game or current meta actually staying stagnant. So I find this is a very good patch, especially for shaking things up to get more people a bit more happy into the game and a more interesting different forms of playstyle too. So this is overall my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this new format. If you guys appreciate it, you like it, I'll do this analysis from now on moving forward, so you guys can stay tuned on the channel and check out these two other videos where I think is very interesting. Harmony Trailblazer comp, she's free. Why is she worth thinking about building even if you don't have Runmei? Anyways guys, thank you guys so much for watching. See you next video.